We are live right now. And hello, viewers. Welcome to another interesting episode of the Semiconductor Podcast. We are talking about the AI. And beneath the AI, there are data centers which enables the AI to run humongously. Today, in our show, we have Verlaine, who will walk us through a different path where the networking of the data centers and all that happens. And let me introduce Verlaine. Verlaine is a network engineer and a technical writer with over a decade of experience spanning routing and switching, network automations, APIs, and secure multi-vendor architectures. Specializing in modern AI-driven networking, he works at the intersection of software, automation, observability, and traditional infrastructure, leveraging Python, PyATS, Cisco APIs, Thousand Eyes, and agentic AI systems to design scalable automation first networks. Currently serving as a technology advisor at Nextlink and founder of Dodobotics, he also contributes globally as a technology writer with Informa Tech Target and publishes educational content through platforms such as HackerNoon and Cisco Learning Network. A future Cisco Press author and DevNet advocate, Verlaine champions continuous learning, believing that AI doesn't replace network engineers, it amplifies those who keep building, automatic, and shipping. So, over to you, Verlaine. Welcome to the Semiconductor Podcast. And this is a very important episode. Today, we are beaming the 50th episode of the Semiconductor Podcast. Great to have you on the show today.
Yes, thank you for having me.
So, first question I will go uh, towards you is that you started as a network technician and trainer in Africa and now work on AI driven networking globally. What shaped you most along this journey?
I felt a lot in my journey. I know every time we start a networking journey or an IT journey, we think everything is going to be easy. Unfortunately, it was not easy for me. I was shaped by failure. I remember failing to set static routes, understanding routing protocols. It was not easy. Learning and failing a lot shaped me. And also, if I have to add something, I was born in a family of bookworm. My mom was a bookworm, and my father. When I was born, I was only speaking Swahili because Swahili is widely spoken in a great part of Africa. Because of technology, I was so motivated to learn English because I wanted to be far with my learning. So I decided to learn French first. After French, I learned English. It was thanks to my parents, to the support of my parents. And what shaped me the most again, it was the power of community because I was not learning alone. I learned a lot with the Cisco Learning Network. I had the support of mentors. And in my local town, I used sometimes to work for free because I did not have the same experience as seasoned network engineers. So I was just open to learn, just to receive their feedback until I started to earn some cash.
Great. One thing I must mention, folks, that Verlaine is joining from the South African continent, and he is right now using the Starlink to connect. And Starlink is a buzzword, and that's how we can see how the networking and the internet is taking the two continents together right now in this live podcast. So I'll move on to the next question.
Mhm.
When you look back, how different is networking today compared to when you started first? That means differentiation in terms of technology was there present, in terms of learning, in terms of facility, and in terms of how the world is going fast and fast compared to the time when you started and the right now? Over to you.
Yes, if I go back to the last 10 years, I remember we were just memorizing command and syntaxes, working with devices, configuring devices, one devices by devices. But if we observe now, the network remains the same. Some protocols are still the same, but we have different practices today. For example, if I go back in 2013, it was impossible to listen to DevOps or net DevOps because we have many practices today. And beyond the 7 layers of the OSI model, today we have other innovation models. For example, we have AI, we have cybersecurity, we have clouds, but the foundation is still networking.
Okay, so that was a very good thing to learn,
Mhm.
and I'll move on to the next question. That everyone talks about AI models. From your view, why data centers the real foundation of AI?
Yes, if you observe the AI trend now is many people are obsessed with the models, the platforms, but from a network engineering perspective, if you observe, the foundation remains data centers because digital transformation is preached almost everywhere, from Africa to other continents. But uh, I learned something from Cisco DevNets the last 10 years. They said um, digital transformation starts with infrastructure. And currently, you can't win the AI race if you don't have infrastructure because infrastructure are the foundation of everything. That's why data centers are super critical for any country who wants to shine today on the global stage.
Yeah, great. And you are a hands-on networking engineer, and that
Mhm.
reflects by the thoughts you are sharing. I'll move over to the next question. How do AI workloads fundamentally change data center networking requirements? How the hardware networking learning pattern is changing accordingly? So it
Yeah.
is with respect to the engineers, they will be
Mhm.
looking for answer.
Yes, because hardware is running fast. If you observe the way we learn today, we have NVIDIA, we have Arista. They are building the future of networking too beyond Cisco. For example, um, Arista and NVIDIA are building switches designed for the future of networking today. It means the more we are entering the AI era, I know currently many people are not satisfied and not happy, but I know we are just at an early beginning of a new AI era. And as soon as the industry's challenge, we are going to have a set of new devices to serve the continents, to connect people. This is what I see. This is the huge challenge, a great challenge for tech companies. But I know Cisco is also building switches that's going to adapt to the new AI era.
So how does this fundamentally different? So because we see switches in regular offices and we see switches in the
Mhm,
server offices like data centers, and you are
mhm,
talking about Nvidia is stepping forward to make new kind of switches. So how fundamentally different? Say I'm not from the networking background, but I know
mhm,
a little bit of it. So I would like
mhm,
to understand from you that
mhm.
how these switches are different from the previous generations.
Yes, for example, if you go back in the last 5 years or the last 10 years, if you observe, for example, Cisco, I was used to use Cisco devices, but right now I am accustomed to work in multi-vendor environment. Uh, we used to learn that in the switches we had some ASICs circuits, we had some CPUs, but as soon as the industry is changing, right now we are learning about DPUs. It means the hardware is changing. Why the hardware is changing? The hardware is changing because the demand we had in the past is not the same demand we have right now. That's why working in the data centers, deploying new infrastructures require new devices to um, to satisfy the demand we have right now, seeing the demand from many companies. And if you observe the last 10 years, we had AI in the industry, but AI was not the same like we have right now, because right now AI is so open. We had many cybersecurity companies using AI, but right now we are in the generative AI era. So we need new devices, new hardware to satisfy the demand.
Great. So you are telling that GPUs are also entering into the switches to make it high performance switches, right? For the AI data centers, right? So earlier there was only CPU or some ASIC chips, right?
Yes, yes. For example, in Cisco devices, we have ASIC chips, and new devices like NVIDIA, Arista. We are going to see DPUs in the switches because the DPUs are going to offload the traffic, because CPU can't keep pace with the new demands we have right now, seeing the traffic we have right now in the industry.
Great to know that someone directly from the networking domain, what the changes are there inside the switches, and we when we go to the core, that is the
Mhm,
CPU and GPU, how they are changing the networking devices like switches, routers, etc. So there is also a revolution going on in that
mhm,
level also. So it's good to know for our viewers, because uh, we have viewers from who are aspiring in the chip design in our channel, and as well as we also have the uh, we have
mhm,
a ratio of people, and those people are also mid-level professionals up to the director level people in our channel. So
mhm,
people are curious that, okay, whatever we are making in the chip industry, where it is finally landing to. And from you I
mhm,
came to know that actually there is a revolution going on the networking hardware also.
mhm,
And as a curiosity, I just as a follow-up question that I ask, that when you are having the testing devices, that means whenever, say, you will have some testing devices when you connect things in physically in a
mhm,
networking environment, so those are
mhm.
also changing, I think. If I am also is my guess correct? Or
Yes.
so can you show
Mhm,
some lights on the devices that an engineer needs, and how they are
mhm.
changing?
You are talking about how to access devices right now.
Yeah.
Can you reframe the question, please?
Yeah. So I say, whenever a network engineer goes to the practical data center for working, he or
Yes.
she might carry some devices with him for the testing purpose of the whole set of new generation of hardware. So the
Mhm.
testing devices are also changing.
Yes, it means the testing device is changing because we are going to have, seeing the AI era we have right now, we are going to have two type of engineers. Those who are going to work on the hardware side, and those who are going to work on the software side. Because when you observe the data centers right now, it becomes an AI fabric. And working in an AI fabric, it means you don't have to master everything yourself. There are those who are going to work on hardware, for example, NVIDIA, Arista switches. If there is some faulty components, there are engineers who are going to work on the faulty component. And on the network engineering perspective, because not all the network engineers are hardware engineer, it's impossible to combine many domains. But I know the way we used to access data centers or networking devices remotely, it's going to remain the same. But I know we had many protocols in the past, like Telnet. Right now, we don't use Telnet anymore because it was not secure. Now we have SSH, and beyond SSH, we have RESTconf. But I know Right now, the data center is not just about the infrastructure we see or the hardware we see. Right now, many data centers are running like codes. From an abstraction view, they are running like code. It means if you understand the current load, how to work with Linux, how to work with Python, how to work with REST APIs, you can access a data center even from your phone, just using REST API to access any devices. For example, how can I switch on a devices? How can I switch off a device? Or how can I rename, for example, 1,000 devices? That's why if you observe Cisco with the Meraki platform, they have a set of APIs. For example, action batch API. With action batch API, I can reload 1,000 of switches in 1 minute instead of switching them off one by one. This is
Great to know.
Mhm,
Great to know that today the control
mhm.
from the network engineer side is also becoming very smart. So you can carry on. I just expressed my thoughts.
Yes, this is the revolution we have right now, because I remember in the past I used to go on site sometimes, working with devices, configuring them using a console cable. But right now, even with REST API, because the network is almost programmable right now. That's why it's super important for anyone who is listening to us right now to understand Python, to understand Linux, to understand networking, because this is the foundation to work in AI. Mhm.
And the CCNA, all those certifications still remain relevant, and they are upgraded, I think.
Yes,
CC,
the certification are the same, but they are adding new topics inside. For example, right
yeah,
now in the new CCNA, if you want to sit for the exam, you have to understand LLMs, you have to understand generative AI, you have to understand REST API, even some data formats like YAML, JSON, you have to understand, because we live in a new era right now.
yeah, and for the MCSE, that is on the Microsoft side, they I think now they are pulling up more advanced topics like
Mhm.
Azure and all those things, right, in the
Mhm.
exam, right?
Yes, it means no matter the vendor, what I see now, we are going to use the same tools, we are going to use the same practices, because no matter the vendor you use, you are going to learn Python, you have to understand Python, you have to understand Linux scripting, you have to understand REST API, because everything is almost programmable right now. Mhm.
Yeah, great to have the perspective on the certification like CCNA and MCSE. Those were very much golden for any network engineer to work on those in these hardware domains. So with that, I'll move on to the next question. That
Mhm.
uh, what does an AI ready data center network need that legacy data centers don't have? That means we are making a differences in
Mhm.
between a old data center, like once maybe 10 years ago or 15 years ago, when there was
Mhm.
Yahoo, Rediff, and all those dot-com company boom, and right
Mhm.
now the data centers that are in the AI boom. So I'm comparing the dot-com boom with the AI boom. So how it is different for the
Mhm.
data center?
Yes, if I have to say something right now is I feel like GPUs are eating the world. In the last 10 years, Mark Andreessen said software is eating the world. Right now, with new data centers, it means we have new hardware. And if you observe how we used to work in the old data centers, with the old data centers, we used to move applications, we used to move information. But right now, we are not just moving applications, we are moving AI models, because you can't work, you can't deploy AI models on old networks. They can't work. That's why the legacy remains the foundation. The legacy network or inside the data centers remains the same. But right now we have models, and how to run models, we need new devices, we need new hardware, CPUs, GPUs, DPUs. This is the new world we have right now. And it's going to be challenging for, I think, for many engineers, especially for those who are not going to keep up with the change, the trends we are going to have.
Great. So, as you said, right, the new
Mhm,
networking skill sets, they are embedded inside the MCSE and the CCNA right now, uh, and those
mhm,
are changing. And with the dot-com boom and versus the AI boom, the data
mhm,
centers have shifted a lot, because that time, as you said, that time only the data information has to be go in a ping pong way in between the data servers and the
mhm,
end user. Now there is a lot of more stories in addition to that. As you have said, already
mhm,
you have said a couple of words about it. I listened carefully, and I will
mhm,
be not repeating them. So I'm just um, going through the uh, details that you have shared. I'll
thank
move
you.
on to the next question.
Mhm,
For engineers listening in, what defines a modern data center today? I'll be addressing the audience, as the audience who are
mhm,
fresh graduates. They might think that we work on today's data centers because
mhm, mhm.
um, they also have a query, right? What will be the employment generated in a data center, right? So, in that perspective, what
Mhm.
defines a modern data center today?
Yes, what defines more modern data centers today goes beyond the hardware, because there's a lot of noise about GPUs, DPUs, NVIDIA, Arista, Cisco systems. But if you observe right now, the modern data center is not just about infrastructure; it's an AI fabric. And to manage the AI fabric, you can manage the AI fabric right now as code, because if you can't automate your AI data center, if you can't write scripts to automate your AI data center, it's not a modern data center. A modern data center requires codes. It requires new processes. In the past, we used to manage everything by ourselves. Right now, you have AI inside the data center. It means you don't have to master all the skills. For example, AI is good, for example, to understand correlations. For example, in some logs, we may have many logs inside a data center. I don't think there is a network engineer who can understand all the logs by himself. So AI is going to play this role. For example, if we take the quality of service in a network, you can't manage the quality of service in a network right now, seeing the higher demands we have right now. AI is going to play on this part. And we as network engineer are going to focus on other aspect of networking. This is the new data center right now.
Great to have the answer and the perspective, and it's
Mhm,
amazing because
mhm.
uh, things are changing and changing very fast. So, with that note, I'll move on to the next question.
Yeah, maybe I can add something before the
Yeah,
next question. Yes, if you observe the innovation we had even from Cisco, if you
yeah,
observe AI Canva is a platform by Cisco. When I saw the demo, it means many things are changing fast and we have to keep up. If you observe AI Canva, they are using what they call generative UI. It means you can import your logs as CSV in the CSV formats, and you can put them on a generative UI, and the generative UI can generate everything for you. This is your network. This is what is happening, and this is what you need to improve. It means we don't have to do everything by ourselves.
yeah, got it. So there is automation because I have written scripts while working in the industry, in the VLSI industry, on Perl parsing. So because this is a kind of parsing that you are suggesting,
Mhm.
it parses the logs and filters out all the
Of
information
course.
needed, and relevant information is displayed on based on which you can do the root cause analysis where the problem is. And frankly speaking, I don't see much downtime earlier in the dot-com boom domain time, right,
Mhm.
there was a
Mhm.
concern of downtime of the data centers and the servers, right? Today, in contrast to that, we rarely have a downtime on the new set of data centers. Am I correct?
Yes, you are correct. Because um, I think many of the problems we have today, uh, it not just about routing protocols and so on, but it's more about human. It's more about the process we use. For example, if you observe the way we used to work with network topologies, not network topologies are not the same. We had star topologies, we have bus topologies. Right now we have leaf and spine. Even with the leaf and spine, you can solve all the problems we have right now. That's why there's many processes we are going to use. For example, when you talk about net DevOps, because in the past we had DevOps. Right now, we applied the DevOps principles to networking. It means instead of having siloed teams, we can make people working together. And the way we manage um, modern data centers or modern infrastructure is not the same like the last 10 years. And even the way we used to manage the traffic, the traffic was just north and south. Right now, the traffic, you can't manage the traffic right now because the AI data center is the AI fabric right now. So sometimes you will need to improve your traffic between GPU from GPU. This is how we work right now.
Okay. Okay, so the complexity has increased a lot in between in the pattern of the traffic that was compared to the dot-com time boom versus the AI boom, right? So
Yes.
it's a generational shift, huge generation shift, because dot-com
Mhm.
boom was one thing. That time, every company was having a dot-com, and everything was thinking everything will be changed. Now we have a AI boom in the in our vicinity. Every devices are connecting to AI server and doing something. So the traffic, obviously, which you have talked about, I'm just rephrasing, is now
Mhm.
changing in a very random way. So the random data, random exchange, in it's not a single pattern ping pong going in between the server and the client. So it's much more than that. So with
Yes,
that note,
mhm. it's
yeah,
it's
go
more
ahead.
than that. And if you observe even the way, it means you can have many devices, you can have many hardware, but as soon as the demand is changing, the network architecture are going also to change. That's why we are going to have many protocols, new protocols for AI. For example, if you observe with NVIDIA, we have now new protocols like Sonic. They are using now Sonic how to speed up the traffic between network switches, for example. Yeah. Then another fact is we can't keep up with AI quickly because every morning when I wake up, then I check my LinkedIn or Twitter. I see new information. There's a new model dropped. There's a new AI benchmark. And seeing what is happening, we can't work like in the last 10 years or like the last 20 years. Things are changing quickly. So architectures are going to change too.
Yeah. So we'll move to the question. It is displayed now, but we have not asked it since we have engaged in a discussion. So the question is, what problems do leaf spine and disaggregated networks solve in today's data centers?
Yeah, because here leaf and spine is just solving the latency, It's more about the latency. But beyond that, we need to use more the leaf and spine architecture between, for example, GPUs to GPUs because the hardware requirement is changing. But seeing where we are going right now, I don't feel like we are going to use the leaf and spine anymore because we have new architecture, we have new hardware. So even if we can use the latency problem, it's not going to last because we have RDMA, we have many protocols I saw from NVIDIA the last time. I attend the event online. It means the new networking industry is so challenged with many things, and I feel like maybe even certifications will not be enough. You know, certification will not be enough, especially basic certifications like CCNA. Maybe CCNA will just remain a foundation. Then we'll have CCIE. Maybe we are going to have certifications beyond CCIE because we will need people to manage networking beyond what we know right now because architectures are going to change. Leaf and spine is not the solution to everything.
Great. So what I understand from your answer is that
Mhm,
even network engineers, to cope up with the AI race, the AI boom, they have to
mhm,
go extra mile than the certifications them itself. But it's remain the benchmark that you cross first,
mhm,
and then you
mhm,
go to the extra mile. That is what you suggested. I just rephrase
mhm,
in terms of my own understanding. So I'll move on to the next question here.
mhm,
Where do data center networks break most often today? Scale, visibility, or human process? That means now we are
mhm,
talking about the real challenges that a
mhm.
data center might have, not the network engineer. And the network engineer has to detect all of them.
Yes, yes. The modern data center is an AI fabric. This is how I call it now. This is the modern AI fabric. But I know most of problems happening in the data center. It's not just about the protocols or the scale or the visibility. It starts first with the human processes. You know, as I said before, in the last 10 years, we didn't hear more about DevOps or not DevOps. Right now, the way you manage data centers is not like the way we used to manage the last 10 years because you can manage a data center remotely, but you need a set of processes. How do we manage our data centers? Are we going to use, for example, REST API to access the devices, or are we going to write scripts manually ourselves, trying to manage these devices? And as soon as data centers becomes complex, even if you observe right now, there is massive investment in data center engineering, especially in the United States, because this is the country where we have the most of data centers. It means as soon as we have more data centers, uh, the scalability will be complex. So it will be difficult for network engineers to keep up with the change. You can't work in the CLI like we used to work in the last 10 years. Um, Memorizing all the commands and syntaxes. Right now, you have to understand new processes. It means um, the modern data center is not about uh, uh, protocols, but it's more about the human processes. As soon as network engineers adapt to a new set of processes, we are going to reduce the downtime and we are going to satisfy the users' demands. Mhm,
Great to have the information, and with the questions are exploring, and
mhm,
for me and for the viewers, they are expanding the panoramic view of what the data centers are ongoing, because as you have said, it's true. Most
mhm,
of the data centers are running from US right now,
mhm,
and other countries like uh, maybe in India we might have one, two, three couple of data centers. But however,
mhm,
the data center concept is relatively new. And as I have said earlier, and now I'm going to rephrase again, that the
mhm,
.com boom uh, time stamped data
mhm,
centers versus the AI stamped data centers, they have a humongous shift in all aspects, in terms of hardware, the chips inside the hardware, the networking
mhm,
skills that MCSE CCNA that time was a hardware engineer. They were acquiring versus now a network engineer is having. So there is a humongous shift, because
mhm,
time moves on, and with time everything moves on, and it's moves with huge speed, and that's why the things are very very different. As the discussion, the interesting discussion is going on today, I think that's that's the essence that we are getting from the discussion. So with that note, I'll move on to the next question.
Mhm.
uh, why is automation no longer optional in data centers? What sort of automation is trending nowadays in centers? Just before answering, I would like to address the audience today that in EDA, VLSI, you also have automation using Perl, using Python, using Bash. So the automation is a uh, key thing, and Verlaine is with us to explain how the automation is
Mhm.
impacting the networking also with this question which I have just asked. So over to you, Verlaine.
Yes, automation is always some first, It's always some, and seeing the change we have right now in the world, the scalability of data centers, it's outpaced the human processes. It means it's not optional anymore. You can't manage a data center or thousands of devices, no matter your experience, just because you are experienced. Right now, we need more people or network engineers who know automation. And you can start your automation journey with Python. You can start your automation journey with Ansible. But I know Ansible is good, but sometimes you need Python for complex tasks. It's not optional. You can't keep up with the current trends, current demand. AI data centers are growing everywhere, and you don't have to be the master of the CLI, but now you have to be a master of automation because even AI is automated.
Great to know the about the automation, because the automation is the key to success. And in that context, I would like to rephrase one thing. uh,
Mhm,
During the dot-com boom, uh, people was afraid of the computers. They thought that the dot-com boom and the computers, I think it was during the millennium time or sometime before that, I think
mhm,
for plus minus 3 years around the millennium. And that time also there was a Y2K bug there. So that actually bugged the entire world that what will happen in the Y2K. So that time the scenario was
mhm,
people were every time people have their kind of inertia and fear that the new thing that is coming is going to kill the jobs. But when
mhm,
I am having a conversation with you as in this tech platform, that not only the new thing is coming, you will
mhm,
have to relearn and reskill yourself to
mhm,
have the new kind of jobs, as you have explained that a networking engineers during the dot-com boom versus the AI boom, the network
mhm,
engineer has to have the different set of skill set, and they are very different, because today's demand and the uh, ping pongs between the server client, they are very much different from the dot-com time. And that dot coms,
mhm,
if I clarify, dot com time was kind of static ping pong, and now it is
mhm,
much more dynamic ping pong, because uh,
mhm,
now things have moved ahead a lot, and the world, everyone is having a smartphone in hand, the thing
mhm.
is moving much more faster.
Yeah,
So with that,
and mhm.
yeah,
Okay,
go
if
ahead.
I yes, if I have to add about this sort of automation trending right now, if you observe in the industry our work, we have the automation, we have orchestration, we have programmability. But if you take orchestration, orchestration is when you automate multiple tasks the same time. For example, if you take the Action Batches API by Cisco Meraki, you can orchestrate some tasks. Okay, every day, maybe on Friday, 4 p.m., for example, India time, I would like to restart the devices for a new update. It means if you have 10,000 of devices, it's possible to orchestrate some of your tasks, you know. And with programmability, the challenge is you want to customize a set of tasks based on your preference. But I know with AI, seeing the AI models we have right now, the challenge we have right now, I feel like AI is going to solve many things on programmability. It means maybe we are going to live in an era where you can ask AI to customize some solution for your company and for your customers. This is where I see AI right now.
Great to know about from you, because earlier the cron jobs have to be manually set by an engineer. Now
Mhm,
those cron jobs are automated by your agents, your APIs. So with that note, I'll move on to the next question.
mhm.
um, what's one real world benefit you have seen from the network automation at scale? That means when you are working as a network engineer,
Mhm.
what do you see the benefits?
Yes, the benefit I saw the first time, it was about the velocity, the innovation velocity. I know when you work with companies, when you work with businesses, they want to be ahead. They don't want to lose their capital. I remember working for a company with a friend. We were automating some tasks for the company. Instead of doing the work in 5 days, we did the work in one day. You know, it means the innovation velocity makes automation awesome. And I know when I went to visit some companies, even some mining companies, because in Africa we have many mining companies. When I went to visit some companies, um, network engineers are afraid of automation because they feel like if they touch what is working right now, they may break the network, they may destroy the configuration. But the velocity we have right now with automation is incomparable. If you spend 5 days working on some routing task, someone may spend 1 day or 2 days doing the same work. We can't escape automation. And I know right now automation is becomes like a layer hidden in AI because many tasks we are going to do right now are going to be automated by AI.
Great to know about that, because as you have said that
Mhm,
various landscapes avail these automation. So I'll move on to the next question. At engineer level, what does AI really change in day-to-day networking operations? When I am expecting the answer, I'll
mhm,
be expecting the answer to understandable by any, say, young engineer who are
mhm.
starting. Can you explain it a bit, how it is impacting?
Yeah, we used to do many things manually. As I said, automation is hidden now in AI. If you take all the routing tasks we used to do in the past, for example, configuring devices uh, one by one, mastering the command lines and syntaxes, right now with AI, we can automate many of the tasks. Let's say, for example, you want to rename network devices, with even with prompt engineering today, thanks to APIs, you can use, for example, OpenAI APIs for conversation, and you can say, okay, this is my network. Can you observe the devices? How many devices do I have in my network? You know, it's possible to use AI as a conversational agent, because in the past, it was impossible if you sit on your desk typing commands. You had to know how many devices I have right now. Right now with AI is changing all the routing tasks we had to do in the past. And you can also, for example, you can also master some command instead of memorizing them because AI is going to teach you. For example, how to restart my Apache server. AI can give you the set of steps. But I know even if it's changing many of the day-to-day operation we do, it's not a replacement of our thinking. It means if you know the fundamentals, for example, in networking, if you know the fundamentals, for example, in cybersecurity, in network automation, AI is going to be easy for you because you are going to understand what you want to achieve quickly. Let's say, for example, I would like AI to add a static route in my network, in my LAN. But let's say I miss some fundamentals of networking. How am I going to understand the output? You know? Yes. But AI is changing many things because regular tasks are easy now, right now. And I can also say if you observe even the CLI is not the same. If, for example, we take Warp, we have Warp Terminal right now. With Warp Terminal, you can work in the CLI with AI because it's AI powered. And you can also work with some agent in the CLI. And you can also ask the agents, can you configure my devices? Can you rename my devices? Can you ping my devices? Can you understand what is happening between my network A and network B? In the past, it was impossible to do such tasks with AI, but right now, AI is changing many things, many operations, and we don't have to do anything by ourselves.
So, a follow-up
Mhm,
question of this question is that if
mhm,
a particular uh, company has a data center and there are
mhm,
two branches in the two nearby cities,
mhm,
two adjacent cities, and whatever the scenario you described, that between network A and network B, so network stays in city A and network B stays in city B, but together they are serving a common purpose, right? So in that,
mhm.
whatever you have said is applicable. Am I got it correct?
Yeah, let's say for the scenario you give, if in our network, in the both network, we have, for example, OpenAI APIs deployed in the network. It means you can conversate with your network right now using AI. What is how many routes do I have in the network? Yes, and AI is going to give you. But before understanding the output, it means you know the fundamentals. You know this is a static route, this is a dynamic route, and AI is possible right now to give us all the scenario. But I know there's someone right now who is changing a lot the industry. I know maybe one day you are going to have him in the podcast. It's John Capobianco. John Capobianco is using AI at a global scale right now and sharing many use cases. It means right now it's possible to chat with your network. Mhm.
Great to know about the ground fundamentals, because
Yeah. Mhm.
now whatever AI we are having, uh,
Mhm.
mostly the general user is like having a chat GPT in the
Mhm.
browser or in your phone, and you are communicating. And the very important point that you have highlighted is that
Mhm.
a chat GPT API that is plugged into your networking system can do the answer you to the root cause analysis, but after it give you the out output, as you have given input to it, you have
Mhm.
to understand what is going on underneath the networking layers, and for that you have to have the proper education to deal with that. So
Yes. Mhm. Because we need more people, skilled people, to use AI. But I know as soon as you use AI with the fundamentals we have in automation, or it's possible. And if you observe, there's also a trend right now in AI. It's the natural language processing. It means if I used to write some commands right now, instead of my command or sentences, I can write in my prompts to an AI. For example, clothes. If I'm using clothes, Sonnet 3 or 4. Okay, clothes. What is happening in my network right now? What is my IP address? Instead of show IP address, you can just write a sentence because AI is changing many things. But I know the other aspects with AI, it's not fully deployed in many companies because there is a trust problem right now. And the biggest problem is trust, because if people can trust an AI in a company, you can't use. I know some companies where even ChatGPT is not authorized to use because they are afraid of data gathering from hackers, maybe some companies who are selling the AI models. But I know step by step people are going to understand the benefits because We don't have to do everything by ourselves. I don't know if it's possible today for a network engineer or for a junior engineer who is starting right now to memorize all the syntaxes for Juniper, Cisco, Huawei, Palo Alto. It's difficult. But with AI and the natural language processing, you are going to use. But I know one day I shared the LinkedIn post talking about the natural language processing, but I know I received many critiques on LinkedIn saying you don't have to use NLP or natural language processing. It's like laziness. You don't have to be lazy. But I know as soon as you use the natural language processing, you are learning the same time, because anytime you write your question in the prompt, it's going to give you the outputs, and beyond the output, it's going to give you the commands. This is the command to see, for example, a static route in a Cisco device, for example. This is the benefit.
Yes, I would like to what I say. I would
Mhm,
like to have to vibrate in the same frequency. What you were saying, that
mhm,
when you say people reacted negatively, it's what I understand, that when the dot-com boom, which happened during the millennium, people were
mhm,
afraid and people were thinking that their existing skill set will be wiped out, they will be wiped out. And now when
mhm,
you talk about the natural language processing, and what I can say that this natural language processing is now the major EDA companies in VLSI, they are slowly implementing in their VLSI design tools,
mhm,
because the design of a ASIC chip, that requires a lot of things.
mhm,
Now, when we have a common notion that we have a terminal where we are using the NLP or natural language processing, we are
mhm,
giving them human like commands and getting a human like reply. We need not to have the basic knowledge of the uh, engineering skills, whether it is
mhm,
in networking in your case, or whether it is VLSI design in a particular engineer. So there is a common notion that has to be wiped out from the mind,
mhm,
that AI is
mhm,
going to make your task quick, make your root cause analysis quick, but you are
mhm.
the engineers who have to, as a human being, decide what to do, what not to do, and what you should refrain from doing uh,
Yes.
on that live. And that is
Mhm,
the thing. For that, if you step back a few steps, you have to learn your skill, your engineering skill, whether it is fundamental, whether it is in your degree, or whether you
mhm.
are doing a certification course like CCNA MCSE, or anything that you have to be serious on that, because the AI prompt or the NLP prompt can help you to move to the root cause analysis and bucketing of the data in a proper manner. If you are doing the bucketing of how many this kind of errors have come, how many this kind of warnings have come, the bucketing, it can help. But however, at the end, what you do with the bucket is
Mhm.
on the engineer's hand and engineer's decision, which is a human's decision. So for that,
Ye-
the human has
mhm,
to be skilled properly and upskilled with the AI knowledge. And what you said, that people criticizes in the LinkedIn, yeah, that is happened a long back when Galileo
mhm,
said that about the sun, right? So people
mhm.
had a reaction, and Galileo was what happened to him, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it happens because it is the human evolution, that as a what I can say, race, they think they are going to be uh, completely
Mhm,
engulfed by the AI. So no, that is not possible, because AI is not it's not a
mhm.
living being. It's inside some sandbox. You have to access it through some panels, and you have to do that. So at the end, the human is needed. What will happen, that the previous set of skills, say if I roughly compare with the dot-com skills and versus
Mhm,
the uh, AI skills, the AI data center skills, so there is a humongous shift for an engineer to have this shift, to learn this shift, and what was
mhm.
okay in dot-com and dot-com boom versus what is okay in AI boom. There will be different benchmark that has to be learned by the engineer. And at the end of the day, when you are at the terminal, when you are at the on site, You have to
Mhm.
decide what to do, and that judgment has to come from your learning, and not from the AI will not help you to it will not be decisive, because it cannot decide what will be the impact if I do this or
Yes.
that. On the
Mhm.
human side who are consuming the service, right? So that has
Mhm.
to be decided by a human.
Yes, that's why we have right now the trust and verify mindset, because without the trust and verify mindset, you can't improve anything with AI. But I know AI is super fast. We have new models dropping every day. It means if you are curious to learn every day, you have the fundamentals, it's going to be helpful and you are going to accelerate any task you want.
Great. So with that
Mhm.
note, I'll move on to the next question.
Mhm.
Why does real time visibility matter so much for network performance and security?
Yes, the problem is you can't protect what you don't see. You know, you can protect what you don't see. And currently, seeing the way networking are scaling, it's become difficult for many companies to know what is happening in the network. You don't have to guess what is happening. And if you have a small LAN at home, it's possible to know what is happening in my network. Maybe it's the provider. But when you have 10,000 of devices, you have to use advanced tool. For example, today we have Cisco Thousand Eyes. With Cisco Thousand Eyes, you can know what is happening in my network, on which branch, what is the location. For example, I am in South Africa, in Johannesburg. I have another site in Bangalore. Okay, what is happening? Okay, this is what is happening right now. In Bangalore, we have a breakdown. Yes, we can understand many things. But if you go back into the last 10 years or 15 years, you're going to understand that many network engineers were just guessing what were happening in the network. So you have a huge network, but you are trying to use ping. Okay, let me ping the device. Let me ping the network. Okay, maybe let me trust route what is happening in my network. But imagine you have 10,000 of devices. Can you imagine how to understand your trust routes when you perform such command? That's why you can protect what you don't see. Right now, we need a set of tools. Cisco is doing better on this side with Cisco Thousand Eyes. I remember last year working at a airport in Congo. I was working with a remote team in India and in Ethiopia. They were guessing the problem in the network. No, guessing, guessing, guessing. And I told them maybe you can try Cisco Thousand Eyes. You can see what is happening. And they tried with a free tier option. And they saw that they were just guessing and they lost many times pinging, sending trust route. I know if you have a LAN, not bad. You can use a trust route, you can use your ping in the CLI. But once you have a huge network, your network is scaling, you can't use ping or traditional tools. You need Cisco Thousand Eyes, because maybe Splunk, with observability, you can understand what is happening. And thanks to the logs, it's possible to know what is happening instead of writing command in the CLI yourself.
Yeah, that is very much important, because
Mhm,
I'd like to um,
mhm,
tell one thing. What you have shared is a very important thing about Cisco Thousand Eyes. If such kind of dashboard is available to any network engineer,
mhm,
easily they can find the root cause analysis. Plus, in case of a cyber attack, right, that has happened in a large
mhm,
scale,
mhm.
maybe on a data center, on multiple data center, I think that can also be rooted out, right, through this kind of dashboard.
Yeah, but I know what they're doing right now. It's more about root cause analysis. You can understand, for example, the latency between networks. You can understand many problems happening. But seeing the way we have AI right now, I think in the future version, it's possible to have such features. You can understand the source of a cyber attack. You can observe. Then, thanks to Splunk, because I think they are going to integrate Splunk and Cisco Thousand Eyes. You can see on your dashboards what is happening. But also, Cisco is using again Cisco AI Defense. But I know the right solution will be Cisco AI Defense, because with Cisco AI Defense, you can understand what is happening in my network, what the source of the attack, and how can I prevent such attack in the future. But I know it's not to the network engineers or a SOC team to solve the problem themselves. Because if you observe Cisco Thousand Eyes, they are using machine learning. With machine learning, they are using correlations. And I know we are human, we are using our brains. We are not competing with tools of machines. The goal is to faster our processes, to faster our work. But I know they're using correlation. I know we as human are not strong on all the tasks we can perform. That's why platforms like Cisco Thousand Eyes can help you, thanks to correlation, to understand, okay, this is the breakdown you have today, and this is how you have to prevent such problems. But when you miss such tools in your company, because with AI, you have Cisco AI Defense, you have Thousand Eyes, we have Splunk. If you combine the three tools, you can work faster than many companies, because all the businesses I know in the world, they rely on the innovation velocity. Imagine if your company is down every day in Bangalore. How are you going to serve people in Bangalore and beyond Bangalore? Because your network is always down. So instead of understanding what is happening in your network, maybe you are going to guess, creating many hypotheses. Maybe it's the cable, maybe it's a routing protocol. But with such tools, thanks to observability and security, everything is possible.
Great. So, is these AI layers that is helping hand today
Mhm,
can detect like any sort of networking attack like DDoS? Okay. So
mhm,
because DDoS was much headache during the dot-com boom. I'm
mhm,
actually comparing two generations. One was the dot-com boom. That time DDoS was there to attack and take down some particular dot-com company, right? So
mhm.
is now the AI layers able to detect this kind of UDP packets and all that? What is happening? It's just a curious question to you.
Yes, thanks for the curious question. If you observe platforms like Cisco AI Defense, it's possible today to understand the source of the attack, and how you can prevent such attack. But I know as soon as they are improving their tools, it's possible to have some features where you can even dwarf the cyber criminal on the other side. Okay, they send an attack. Can we send an attack back to prevent them attacking our infrastructure, our reputation? It's possible today, because we are not in 2013 or in the 2000. Right now, we are in 2026, and seeing the way the AI evolution is going, nothing is impossible with Cisco AI Defense. It's possible.
Great to know about the Cisco AI defense, because this is the, I think, need of the hour people should have, because
Mhm,
we are no longer in the dot-com boom generation. We are in the AI boom generation. Now the world has shifted a lot.
mhm,
So with that note, I'll move on to the next question. What kind of networking engineers will actually thrive in this first world? So your suggestion to
mhm.
the engineers who are doing like computer science or something like that, and in addition they are having the MCSE CCNA. So what sort of skill set they should look for to sustain in the AI boom as compared to the old dot-com boom? So there is a
Mhm.
humongous shift. So your
Yeah.
suggestions.
Yes. I remember in 2024, I was writing an article about the future of network engineering, and currently what I see, we are going to have three types of network engineer. We are going to have first the automation native engineer. With the automation native engineer, the engineer are going to focus on API skills, Python skills, Linux scripting. This is what they should know in this era, because Even if AI can automate a set of tasks, it's not good at anything. Then the second category, we are going to have the AI augmented engineer. With the AI augmented engineer, I see the kinds of network engineer where you are going to focus more on AI agents, understanding new protocols, for example, MCP, how to work with MCPs, how to work with A2A, and Cisco last year launched Agent C. It's an agent to you can deploy the agent in your network, but right now the agent is maintained by the Linux Foundation. I know as a AI augmented engineer, you have to understand agent, how to work with agents, how to work with new protocols, because this is where the world is going. And you have also to understand how to design AI solutions, because uh, we as engineer, the role is to solve problems. You have to design, you have to sell, then you have to solve the problem. But for regular users, they can continue to use AI tools, clouds in the iPhone, from your Android phone, because they don't understand what is happening behind what they do. You can ask your question, you can receive your question quickly, but behind what you do, there's the AI fabric. And to understand the AI fabric, network engineers should understand what is happening right now. Then we are also going to have the system thinkers, because many network engineers can understand easily many tools. For example, let's say, seeing the AI era right now, if we have a company in Bangalore, um, and we are serving some clients beyond Bangalore, how to understand what is happening in the network, you know? If you are a network engineer who think like a system thinker, because when you become a system thinker, you don't have to think about configuring devices. And I know this work is going to go to AI. AI is going to configure devices. And our job will be now to understand what is happening in a network. How can I integrate a set of tools to solve the problems? Am I going to use Cisco Thousand Eyes, Splunk, Cisco AI Defense? And when I combine the three, maybe with APIs, what will happen and which problem am I going to solve? Because this is where I see the future of network engineering. You have um, the automation native engineer, you have the augmented AI engineer, and you have the system thinker.
So, young engineers who are doing the computer science domain and they
Mhm,
want to work in the hardware, you have heard from Verlaine what
mhm,
you are going to have the skill set to sustain in the AI boom era. So, with
mhm,
that note, I'll move
mhm,
on to the final question of today.
mhm,
Finally, for the young engineers listening today, what skills and mindset should they build if they want to work in the data centers powering AI? Because why
mhm,
this question is that obviously, with the spread of AI and quantum computing,
mhm,
in future, in near future, I will not
mhm,
say that in the far future, in near future, the
mhm,
demand of skilled network engineers will be at most.
mhm,
And those engineers who are doing the computer science or kind of relevant degrees or
mhm,
diplomas, they will have to have kind of skill set. Like
mhm,
already we have our um, age old and golden standards like MCSE, CCNA, and apart from that,
mhm,
what the networking engineers who will be serving, who will be foot soldiers inside the
mhm,
data centers to keep the
mhm,
data center alive. Now, the data center could be spread, the whole data center could be spread around three cities. Like you said, in India, there is a Bangalore city, there is a city called
mhm,
Mumbai. If there is a city right now, I am in is Kolkata, and
mhm,
the city, if there is another city like UP, right? Uttar Pradesh,
mhm,
it's a state, not a city. So if there are different location, AI, yeah, because uh, the day by day, the data volume will go high. The
mhm,
even though a company opens up one data center in one city, it will be needing a lot of cooling factors. So they have to open another data center in another city.
Mm-hmm.
followed by another city. So the data centers will spread. Nowadays, everything stays on cloud, and this thing will be growing on. So, keeping that big picture in mind, you
Mm-hmm.
can answer the question that I have already asked.
Yes, I know. If you observe the industry right now, there's a trend. The trend is many young people are choosing clouds computing. They are choosing cybersecurity. They are choosing automation, even AI. But if you observe, you can't automate what you don't understand. You can secure what you don't see or understand, even making more intelligent what you don't understand. But I know networking remains the foundation. And those who will remain curious by learning networking and advancing with new skills are going to make a difference. I'm going to start with the first skill I see super important today in the AI era. Networking will remain the foundation. Then you will need Linux because if you observe many agents we use today, they rely on Linux, and even if we observe the extended Berkeley packet filter, eBPF, if you observe eBPF is using Linux. Even in Cisco AI Defense, they are using eBPF. It means if you can't understand Linux, it will be challenging to understanding the networking industry. Those are the skills. Then you have to understand automation. When I mean by automation, you can learn Linux scripting and Python automation because Python is the foundation of network automation. You don't have to master JavaScript, but Python is the first. Then you also have to understand data science. What I mean by data science is you don't have to become an expert, but you have to understand the data you have in a network. What is happening on my dashboard? How can I interpret the data on the dashboard, for example, to my boss? How can I explain to them what is happening and which decision are going to make? This is the most important fact. Networking, Linux, automation, and in automation, you can also run REST APIs because this is the foundation. But I know as soon as the young people understand well networking, the rest is easy.
Great suggestion, Verlaine. So we are exhausted with the questions.
Mhm,
So I'll flash one particular comment that has came.
mhm,
One of our viewer asked that VLSI or CS. I'm confused. Please help. So I would like to first, and then Verlaine can comment on it. So first of all, if you are having a degree on VLSI, you can go ahead and in the EDA design domain, right? EDA
mhm,
automation, whether it is
mhm,
digital design, ASIC design, analog design, IP design, any of the domains,
mhm,
it's there. Along with it, if you have a CS, you can go for the software part of the EDA, where
mhm,
you go and code for the companies like Synopsys, Cadence, Mentor, that
mhm,
is Siemens nowadays. And if you are a CS student and you are approaching, you are much better in dealing in physical hardware in the networking
mhm,
domain.
mhm,
Today's episode is for you. It depends upon the choice and your inclination, what you have, what you are
mhm,
inclined to do. It's
mhm,
not that that we are forcing you to be a EDA VLSI engineer, or we are forcing you to be a network
mhm,
engineer. There are a lot of options.
mhm,
This is very different from the dot-com boom time in the
mhm,
millennium. Now we are in the AI boom time. So
mhm,
everything will catch up humongous speed, whether it is the VLSI EDA design, whether it is the EDA software design, whether it is the basic computer science around the programming that we do, as Verlaine has quoted here, that many of the things, if you will not understand, if you do not understand the Linux, because uh, there are a lot of APIs that are built on the Unix and the Linux foundations, okay, from the
mhm,
foundation companies, and that you have to understand. And nothing to get confused, because these are options. These options will coexist. It's your
mhm,
choice that what you make. And say in your city where you are working and you have a CS degree, right?
mhm,
There you want to, there is a data center opening right now, and you
mhm,
have passed the MCSE and the CCNA, and today
mhm.
Berlin has given some suggestions what additional skill set that you have to become upskilled for the new age data centers.
Mhm.
Okay, because what I say, that books that we are having today available
Mhm.
in our common bookstores, they might not be very much up to the mark of satisfying the need of the hour. That means you have to be on the social media like LinkedIn, and as well as
Mhm.
you have to be roaming around the GitHub to know what happening today. So that is one thing that you have to have the knowledge, and it's yourself digging that you have to do. And Verlaine today has guided, there are a lot of things, lot of automation and lot of dashboard that has been developed by the companies like Cisco, and Nvidia is also working on that. um, uh, you also have to do the mastery of all these new things, as well as you have to have the fundamental knowledge, the fundamental, as Verlaine has uh, told few minutes back, that you have to be a system thinker. That means with the knowledge that you acquire during your degree or diploma, you have to have that knowledge assimilated within you, so that when you are a foot soldier in the ground and you have a problem, you might have a AI agent with you helping in the process to sort out the buckets of data. And after you have the sorting of the buckets of the data, what you do with that? So there is nothing to get confused. First of all, you have to know what you have to know. And then, when as an engineer you become a foot soldier, you do all the necessary things on the ground. Remember, if you are a ground soldier, you have to get exercised all the options, like a soldier in the infantry, right? They practice rifles, they practice cannons, and they practice everything, every skill set, the hard skills they have to practice. And when they are deployed on the ground during the war, they
Mhm.
don't think of the skills anymore. They
Mhm.
act. That means you have to act on the ground, and for that you have to be a very habituated engineer or habituated thinker. As Verlaine has said, I can correlate his words inside my mind like that, and that's why I try to give a picture and a rough comparison with the army. That basically a engineer is a soldier that is on the ground, and
Mhm.
the problem is not another soldier you are fighting with, you are just fighting with another problem. Here is the
Mhm.
difference. So, anything you would like to comment, Verlaine, on the question here asked by our viewer?
Nothing to add. You said a lot of things. It's good.
Yeah. So, folks, don't get confused, because we are entering a new era where things are changing very, very fast and humongous speed. I'm a millennial, and I grown up during the .com boom time, and
Mhm.
that time the Yahoo, Rediff, all these companies were having their .com, and e-commerce came in that time through Rediff. They used to sell many things. uh, Later came the Google Mail, which also I have seen. Google was not so much big today in one night. So Google
Mhm.
first came. I have my email when their Gmail was referral based. That means I have to know a person who has a Gmail ID, and that person will have to give that referral link to another person. He
Mhm.
and she can. Later on, I think after 2 3 years, Google opened the system for everyone to have a Gmail. But initially when it was there, so that was the time when there was the .com boom. Google has started its journey during the .com boom. And I think search engines like Alta Vista was also there.
Mhm.
It was a huge search engine. Today it is not there, it not in existing. Yahoo is there, I think it's remain a portal of news portal and some mails. And uh, all these things have changed from time to time. And
Mhm.
today, uh, human as a human, when you go through schools, then high schools, then college, degree college, or university, you grow up in the same way. And at the age when you are entering the industry, you should have the industrial skill set that is very different from the .com boom time. That
Mhm.
means due with respect to the millennium, we are 26 years apart. It is more than 2 decade, 2.5 decade. So the need is has differentiated a lot. That's why we are running the Semiconductor Podcast here, to give you the up to date knowledge from the people who are working in the field. And nowadays, books might get up to the mark by the time, but by the time the data center might come into your city, and they were asking for network engineers, which
Yeah.
you can go ahead
Yes.
as we, yeah,
Mhm.
Berlin, go ahead.
If I have to add something, is if you know Naval Ravikant, Naval is a great thinker. He is a great Indian American thinker. He said, currently we live in the age of Alexandria. It means all the knowledge you want, all the books you want, you can find them on the internet. But what lacks the most is the lack of curiosity. It means for the younger people, you have to be more curious. You have to ask more questions. I know there is a failure to ask questions among the youth today because many young are afraid to ask questions. If I ask a question, maybe I may look unintelligent, I may look dumb, but I know growing in IT, you have to ask a lot of questions to different people of different backgrounds. And this is how you grow beyond working with AI tools.
Yes, so you have to ask a question, and continuation of Verlaine's. I am telling you that nowadays, people, what the fear goes in your mind. It's a human psychology, and as an
Mhm,
animal, human is an animal. You cannot go beyond that fear, because if I ask a question, I might get judged. So you have today chat gpt, you have gork, so you
mhm,
can go ahead and ask the question there. You have Gemini, you can ask the question there. You have
mhm,
Perplexity, you can go ahead and ask there. So remove your fear from your mind, be curious, ask curious question. You don't go have to go to a human being, you can ask AI. Later, to verify the answer, you can go to the some relevant person. And we are
mhm,
running podcast here one after another, that today is the 50th episode of the Semiconductor Podcast, and we will be continuing this. So if you are having a question when our podcast is scheduled, you can, and it's your relevant topic, you can list up the question and you can come, and after we are done with our session question, we can answer your question with an
mhm,
expert on the other side. So that is the message, and that is the purpose of the Semiconductor Podcast, to cater the young generation, because
mhm,
the electronic media today is one of the most versatile speed thing that we have.
mhm,
Books are needed, very much needed. I am not saying that books are not needed. Books are very much needed to create your foundation as a thinker. As Verlaine said, that you have to be a thinker, and for that thinker you have to read books and go through the details to have the knowledge bed within you. And once you on the field as a foot soldier, when you detect any problem as a soldier, you fight, you pick up the knowledge from your knowledge bed, and from there you go forward and shoot out
mhm.
the problems. So with that, we will be concluding today's episode. I think we have spent almost 1 hour 23 minutes,
Mhm,
right? Thank you, Verlaine, for coming here. And it was a great honor to have you here as a network engineer, because in our channel, we mostly talk about the VLSI and the chip design field. But today,
mhm,
things are very closely bound and interweaved. We cannot think any technology as isolated technology. Technologies are interweaved, and we have to think in an interweaved way for the upcoming time. Anything from your side you have to say to our audience?
Yeah, just thank you so much for everything you do to educate the world, because I know today knowledge is everywhere, and as Naval Ravikant said, we live in the Alexandria age. I know the Semiconductor Podcast has many knowledge as in nugget of information. Anyone who is listening to us right now should subscribe to the channel and keep sharing the valuable content they may consume anytime. Thank you so much.
And moreover, the content, we bring live show, and we bring expert into the live show, because if
Mhm,
it is a recorded, you don't get an option to ask question. And as Verlin said, that uh, curious questions are the propellers that keep you moving in the timeline, right?
mhm.
So with that note, today we'll be concluding. Thank you, Verlaine, for coming to the show. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you, Rahul.
And we had a very much engaging episode today about the AI data center and networking, which is the very much needed thing in today's era in the AI boom. And thank you for being so much patient there through all the question and viewer question. Thank you very much. So we'll end
Thank
our show to. So bye for now today, viewers. We'll meet in another episode of the Semiconductor Podcast with more interesting topics and live with real people who can share great insights. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Verlaine, for being with us in this session. And I'll be ending the stream.
you so much. See you next time.
See you next time too.